It's poor, man.
I can say this quite confidently. I think Man United will win the league way before Chelsea do.
Wow.
I think with the new structure they've got, for the first time since Fergie, they've actually got football people at the top. They've straight away come out and said that Ten Hag's going to be the coach. They've brought in Van Nistelrooy. Maybe it's PR. Maybe it's to get the fans on side. Maybe it's a backup for if Ten Hag gets sacked. But Chelsea, like I said a minute ago, I don't see a short-term plan. And if they don't get back into the Champions League, like if I was a Chelsea fan right now, I'd be thinking, is this us for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years? Like, because you've like you just said, they were a ruthless football club that before Roman come in, I mean, yeah, they brought in the likes of Desailly and Terry and whatnot. They had some good players, but they weren't winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues. And now they're not winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. They're in the Conference League, which I'll be honest, I don't think they'll win. I'll say that right now. I do not think Chelsea win the Conference League because I don't think they'll focus on it. So I'm scratching my head going, what's the like you said, what's the timeline going to be on this Chelsea project? Because you can't keep chucking. This isn't Monopoly. Like eventually, FFP will get you. We're going to wait and see what's going to happen with Manchester City, and you can keep trying to sell these hotel and golf courses, but I just don't see what the short term plan is with Chelsea. But Man United, I do see a plan. I see they're changing their hierarchy. They want to restructure from the top to the bottom. They want to bring in an attacking manager. I think Man United overall, they've won 2 trophies in the last 2 years, even when they've been in the absolute dumps. Like the worst Man United team I've seen in my life. I know I grew up watching Ferguson absolutely destroy us. I remember when he made 8 changes and come to White Hart Lane and still beat us 4-0. Like, it's just Man United, even at their worst, are still picking up trophies. Chelsea at their worst, their fans are having fights in the stadium. I just don't see it personally. I don't know what the short-term plan is. And I think this could genuinely be them for the foreseeable future. I don't know. Is that too harsh? Is that an agenda? I don't really know what that is, but I just don't see a short-term plan.
I think you pose a really good question. And there was a comment that I didn't star, but somebody sort of said that rivals are upset because Chelsea fans are optimistic. And I think it's fine to be optimistic. But I think with that optimism, there has to come there has to be a sort of prediction or an end goal or somewhere that you're going to end up. And what I mean by that is we're really optimistic about the direction that we're going in. Oh, well, when are you going to win the Prem next? When are you going to win a Champions League next? Are you definitely going to finish in front of these teams? Are you willing to sort of put your money where your mouth is? And that for me is what's missing, because you get a lot of responses are, well, if we buy the right players and if this happens and if the players don't get injured and if this manager really is as good as we all think he is, then maybe. But those ifs counter your optimism. If everything's about an if, then how can you be optimistic? Optimism is built from believing in what's going on. So I'm hiring, or we're being gifted actually, a van to drive to Germany in it. I'm optimistic we're going to get there because it's a real good quality van. If I was being given an absolute hunk of junk that was rusty and had a broken gearbox, and I'm like, yeah, I'm so optimistic we're going to get there, but I'm not sure if it's going to make it to the end of the road. It doesn't make sense. Now, if the car don't break down, if the gearbox don't fall out, if the tires don't fall off, do you know what I mean? If the doors don't, fall out, if the engine doesn't blow up, we'll probably make it there. That is an optimism. And I think that, and I'm not talking about all Chelsea fans, I'm just the ones that say they're optimistic. I think it's fine to be optimistic, but your optimism surely should come with timelines, end goals, and what you believe you're going to achieve, and not all the time caveated with, well, as long as we sign the right players. Well, if you're not even sure your club can sign the right players, how are you optimistic? That is what doesn't compute for me in the conversation. The Chelsea fans who are angry and frustrated, where I think, it doesn't mean they're right, but where I like their opinion more is they believe they're on the road to ruin. And it isn't that opinion I like, but at least they have an end. There's an end goal. There's an ending. This is where we're going to end up if we keep behaving this way. The optimistic fans are, I'm optimistic, but I don't really know what I'm optimistic about. I'm just saying I'm optimistic because I'm a Chelsea fan and that's what I've got to do. And Henry saying that he thinks Man United will win the league before Chelsea is a big take. I'm not prepared to say that yet. I need to see us start kicking some balls under this new ownership and regime. But it isn't a crazy take if you think that Chelsea are being run poorly right now, and if you think Man United are being run well. So it depends on your disposition. And all the Chelsea fans that are optimistic and happy, I'll put it out there to you now. Put your money where your mouth is. Tell us what you're going to achieve in the next 2 to 3 years, genuinely. Not if everyone stays fit, not if it doesn't rain, not if we don't go into another lockdown. What are you going to achieve in the next 2 to 3 years, genuinely? Because you believe you're moving in the right direction. So you should be able to make a prediction on where you're going to be.
I think they'll win an FA Cup, but I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll get back in the... Well, unless Chelsea go and sign 3 or 4 26, 27, 28-year-olds who've got real experience, like a Joshua Kimmich, for example, who can come in, pull the strings, play a number of positions, who's versatile, who's won it all. Unless you bring in players like that, I think Chelsea will win an FA Cup because they should have won. They should have beat City in the semi-final this season.
I think what I agree with Henry on there, right, is what we're saying is, what should Chelsea do this coming season? What they should do, in my opinion, with the money that they've got, the money they've spent, and the money they've got behind them to spend again, is be as close to Manchester City and Arsenal for a title race as possible. The reason I don't think they're going to do that is because I don't think their ownership have any clue about how to do that and build a squad that's good enough to know how. So when I look at Chelsea's squad, I don't think it's a shambles. I don't think, crikey, they're going to struggle to get in the top 5 here. No, I think they probably will get Champions League football this coming season if they keep everyone fit and don't have any injury problems. But they've got to do more than that, in my opinion, because that for me is not a good season for Chelsea. It would have been back in the 80s and 90s. That would have been a very good season, Champions League football. But it's not now. That's what I'm getting at. And this ownership, in my opinion, has not given me enough evidence to show, wow, they know what they're doing. Because there's a very, very fine margin between ruthlessness and stupidness. And they've overcrossed the line, in my opinion, for stupidness and recklessness way too much already in their first 12 to 18 months of being in charge. And that's where I'm at.
Plus, to add on that, these players have then got to learn a new system under Enzo Maresca. If he doesn't get back into the top 4, he's going to get sacked. Then they've got to learn another system, a new way of playing. Like, that's why I don't get it. Like, at least Pochettino, I know, by the standards FC, he didn't win anything, right? But you could see towards the end of the season that he started to get them clicking, right? If you then was to give Pochettino another £200 million, I think they'd be in a much better position right now than going off a manager who won the championship with Leicester. Yes, he learned under Pep, and people will say, what about Arteta? But Arsenal took a gamble on Arteta and it worked out. Is the gamble going to work out for Maresca? I'm not. Well, who knows? I don't personally think it will. I think Chelsea will finish 7th, 8th.
Wow. JC here says, I truly believe Chelsea can finish in the top 3 this coming season. We were top 3 in the calendar year of 2024 already.
It's madness. It's absolutely madness. Liverpool brought in Michael Edwards and are going to sign 2 or 3 top players, and there's Arsenal and City there. Plus, Man United won't be as bad as last year. Tottenham hopefully should have a better understanding of Ange Ball. Newcastle, you'd hope will improve. Villa will be there. I think, and if top 3 is a bit of a stretch, but that's what Chelsea should be going for. This is a club that's won 5 Premier League titles. If Tottenham had won 5 Premier League titles in the last 20 years and we were finishing 7th and 8th, I'd be smashing my living room up. But that's where you are now. That's the harsh reality. So,
yeah, someone says, why am I happy about United? I mean, I'm happy with the things that we've done, but I've equally stated I'm not getting giddy with it. I'm not making any claims about where we're going to be and what we're going to start doing. I have to see what the football looks like and these decisions together. And if I start to see improvements in the football, start to see everything progress, then you merge it together. So I'm optimistic about individual things that we do. I'm also open to the criticism that we get. So I am totally aware that keeping Ten Hag may not be the best decision. I'm very aware of some of the criticism that we're still getting. I'm not disregarding any of it. I'm open to all of it. I'm just happy that we're saying and doing the things that I believe top clubs do. At the same time, proof's in the pudding. I think a lot of the things that Todd Bowley and Clear Lake say actually make sense. A lot of what they say is what you should do, but there's delivering something. I could write a recipe and how to cook it, could just go and copy one off the internet and go, there you go. Just copy a model. Doesn't mean I can actually make it look and taste how it's meant to. There's a difference there.
Terry, Chelsea fans are actually doing something which I hate that Arsenal fans do. There's a section of our fan base that do this. They can't have a conversation without throwing back, what's your club doing? That is all they do. So if you ask a question on Arsenal, that is like, when you're going to win a title under Arteta, they will just throw back, when you're going to win an FA Cup. We got 14 of them. Like, Chelsea now do that, which is basically what Singer is doing here. Well, what are you positive about Man United for then? We're not talking about Man United, we're talking about Chelsea. Yeah, don't just throw back what Tottenham going to win. Are Tottenham going to win something? When are Man United going to sort their life out? When are you going to get across the line with Arteta? Back your club. If you don't like what we're saying, don't bring our clubs into it. Tell us why we're wrong about Chelsea. We can support Cambridge. We can support Colchester. We support PSG. It doesn't matter about them clubs. We're talking about Chelsea. But all they do is they go, well, what Arsenal doing? And what's happening is they're turning into the Arsenal fans they hate. They're looking at themselves in the mirror and they're seeing them with an Arsenal shirt and they hate it. And they go, la, 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 I'm not an Arsenal fan. It doesn't matter. We're in a process. We're in a transition. We need a process. We need 5 years. It's all this.
I remember Arsenal fans doing the whole, we'd have been top of the table if we'd have had all our players fit this year. If you look at the stats, we're actually top of the table when it comes to it, and that's when I see the similarities. But the argument of challenging somebody else, it makes sense. If I'm sitting there unemployed, always losing my job, and I'm sitting there criticizing Henry for not getting a promotion, then it's very legitimate for Henry to go, who are you to speak when you get sacked all the time? Because I'm talking about something I have personal control over. Me speaking about Chelsea's situation, I'm not responsible for what Manchester United do, really. So Man United might be run terribly, but I call it out. Me then saying, oh, I think club X is being run poorly, the counter to my claim isn't, but your club's run poorly as well. I'm not stating, because that's an irrelevant point to that argument. Well, yeah, I don't run Man United either, and I'm saying that to run poorly, but we're talking specifically about you. That argument only works if you can talk about something directly that I have done. I'm directly involved in, where I'm being hypocritical. But it isn't. It would be slightly hypocritical if my club's run poorly and all I do is praise how well it's run when it isn't, but it's slag everybody else's clubs off. You could challenge that, but I'm very open and fair about Man United in that regard. So it's a bit of a moot point. Spencer here says, we all know Chelsea spent 1.2 billion past 2 years, yet some members of TFT have said Chelsea will never be the same after Elise. After 3 years, FFP window closes. What evidence suggests they won't spend big again? No, it's not after 3 years. FFP, it's rolling. It's every rolling 3 years. So it's every year, basically, that it exists. I think, listen, I agree. Some people on TFT have said that Chelsea won't ever be the same. This year is a key factor. They have another year where they're not pushing back, genuinely, at least challenging to be back in the top four. Then that's when problems will start to mount, because in that 3 years without big money coming in, it starts to get harder and harder. But I'm sure Chelsea can turn it around.